We're talking to Frankie Allen, the head coach of the Tennessee State University men's basketball program. And of course, Coach, before we had our first commercial break, we promised that we would talk about some of the activities that you've been involved in centered around your team. And let's allow you over this next few minutes that we have in this segment to talk about the team and the schedule, not only your present team, but some of the teams that you've had prior to this team.
Well, I mentioned a little bit earlier the championship teams that we had, and we were led by Carlos Rogers, who an outstanding basketball player for us, who's currently playing it professionally with the Toronto Raptors. But he had a great supporting cast. Timmy Horton, who's done quite well, who's playing over in Europe right now, was an outstanding point guard for us. Monty Wilson, who just completed his career, is also playing professionally overseas. We had some players that probably, really did a great job for us throughout the years. A couple of local Nashville natives, Rico Beasley, who graduated and is working in the Nashville area, along with Jeff Johnson, who also was a native of Nashville. So the list can go on, and Curtis Davis, who just graduated, who's now working in communications for a TV station down in Columbia, South Carolina. My first captain, Michael Moore, who's back down in Alabama, who's working in his hometown of Birmingham. There's so many people, and I hope I didn't leave anybody out, but they were the kids were the ones that really went out and worked hard and built this championship program. And we're really pleased with the things that they did. And they left a legacy, for the current players, the ones that we're going to have in our program right now. And when you have that kind of legacy and that kind of tradition, then it makes it much easier to go out and recruit the quality players. And we've had a couple of outstanding recruiting years. I have a current staff now of Joe Esposito, Lonnie Thompson, and Chris Hooper, and they've all done a tremendous job. Joe has been with me the longest. He's starting his third year, and both Coach Thompson and Coach Hooper are joining the staff for the first time this year. And I really feel that that's what makes for a solid basketball program, is to have good people, surround yourself with good people. And I really feel that the players that we have in the program over the last few years, some of their accomplishments. 2 years ago, Jason Johnson was the freshman of the year in the OVC. Last year was Kevin Samuels. The runner-up was his brother Keith Samuels. Those three players will form a really good nucleus for this year's team. We have Kareem Gilbert, who's a point guard, who's a senior. He led the nation in assists. Kareem's been hobbled by some early season injuries and a chronic bad back, and we certainly hope that he's up to full speed. If he's playing at full speed, he could really make a difference in us having an outstanding year. Seth Huber, who's also a native of the Nashville area, is an excellent three-point shooter and just a tremendous all-purpose type player. Those four guys played a tremendous amount for us last year. And then we brought in some really outstanding newcomers, most notably Jamie Roberts out of Georgia, out of Albany, Georgia. He was the Mr. Basketball and also the top offensive football player in the state of Georgia in the highest classification down there in the state of Georgia. He's looked good in some of our early practices, and we're only 2 days away from our first exhibition game. So, once we get out there against outside competition, we may be able to know a little bit more about our personnel. Then there's Julian Bankston, who's a transfer from the College of Charleston. He'll be eligible this year. At 6'10", he's the big man that can really do a lot for us on the inside. Then you add to that Gerald Morris, who came from a junior college, who's really just learning our system, but he's been improving each and every day. Terry Murray from Memphis, who's done a good job for us in our early practices. This team is really coming together. I really feel that these guys are really trying to mesh. We've got some outstanding shooters. Perry Jeffries, who's going to be a newcomer, is an outstanding shooter. Perry came in from a junior college from upstate New York and is a native of Ohio, who just like the campus, like their academics and all those type of things. And then when you start talking about rounding out the rest of the squad, you want to talk about guys like Harold Spencer, who's an outstanding walk-on player, who's an outstanding student. George Parker, who's from Memphis, who's you know, one of the most improved players. These guys are just walk-ons, but they really do a good job to bring along the team concept, as does a newcomer who's also a freshman, who was the state's leading scorer last year, decided to come to Tennessee State because of the academic program which we have over in Allied Health, and his name is Jay Johnson. So, you know, we've got some, you know, really outstanding people that I really feel good about in terms of this year's team. And we're looking forward to those guys coming in and contributing a great deal.
You know, Coach, you've mentioned quite a number of players that can only be described as blue-chip players. And I think the question is, and I think you've almost hinted at it when you said, when you mentioned the last person, but the question is, what do you tell these young people to get them to come to Tennessee State University?
Well, I'll tell you what, Tennessee State is not a hard sell at all. You know, we've got an outstanding campus, and when you start talking about you know, the growth on that campus, the new buildings, the picturesque campus that everyone has, you know, become accustomed to. The landscaping is all about the new buildings. I mean, when you've got, you know, close to that kind of, you know, $10–12 million worth of new buildings and renovations that we've had, academically, you know, we're an outstanding university. We've been recognized in the U.S. News and World Report as one of the top universities of our size the last 4 years. And I think that there's so many good things that we have, you know, and when I go out and say to a young man, come to our campus, you know, but what makes a campus special is the people, and we've got some good people on that campus. Some long-time people or lifers, as you may say, that have been there for a long time, and people like myself, you know, who've just recently come, grow, and with the university and know and love the people that work there. They're just a family. It's probably the most unique situation that you could be in. And I say all the time, we just get the players there on campus. You know, the university, the people that are there, they're the ones that really sell the university. And it's not a difficult sell at all. I tell you, you see more and more of our young people going back to historically black colleges and universities, and Tennessee State has got to be at the top of their list.
What about your facilities in 25 seconds before this second commercial?
Oh, the Gentry Center, you know, we seat over 12,000. We've got a new floor, where it's only about 3 or 4 years old now. We've also got the new goals. We're adding a lot more to the facility, and it's a great place to come and watch college basketball.
Well, let's take this commercial break, and we'll be back, and we'll talk about the Gentry Center and some other aspects of the Tennessee State University basketball